recording now. And then I clap my brown. Oh,
This is my
spaghetti.
podcast. My
My
podcast.
podcast. That's like
My podcast.
that's when I know to fade in. Like that's the end of the fade in is when I start going. It's my podcast. My podcast.
My podcast.
Now
My
you have like the
podcast.
bouncy text on the screen.
I put the bouncy text. You see, I wonder what it'll be this time. Or what it'll be this time.
Deranged maniacs.
Do you guys like your last one where it was a caribou and it was a food cast?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I went into the Hagrids and they said, "Oh, put a caribou." I said, "Oh, okay." I did it. Cause I'm fucking. Oh, what is it? I'm influenced. I'm gay.
I'm making cheese and potato bacon pie tomorrow.
Cheese and potato bacon pie.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think putting it all together in a pie crust is what makes it a good meal? Because what if you just didn't have it in a pie crust? You know?
You don't put it in a pie crust. It's just called a pie because you bake it in the oven and like the potato essentially is the crust and the cheese.
But then that's not a pie. You
It's
know
the
what?
same as shepherd's pie and cottage pie. There's no crust on it. It's just the potatoes or all the cheese is used and it's baked all in the oven and it's called a pie.
You know what, you little motherfucker. We're gonna go ahead and Google pie definition. Okay?
All right.
A pie, a baked dish of fruit or meat and vegetables, typically with a top and base of pastry.
Well,
Now,
typically, but it,
last time I remembered, a potato is not a pastry.
yeah, but it is a vegetable and a meat baked in a dish.
That is true. But
And it does say typically. Typically doesn't mean always.
I guess it would be kind of hard to describe what that is if not a pie. You know? Like what other word would you use for that, you know?
Yeah.
Because pie is quite the fitting description of that dish. Do you like cooking?
And yesterday, I made gammon, pineapple, egg, roast potatoes, and broccoli, and then I made a beef stew.
Beef stew.
And I sat there and clapped my hands.
Where did you learn all this cooking from?
Well, my mum used to cook, but she used to not really make homemade stuff. She still really doesn't. She used like a lot of like ready-made stuff. And then when I moved out, I was like, I don't have to eat all this like pre-packaged, ready-made stuff. Like, I need to make meals for myself now. So I just started experimenting. Sometimes I'd look up like recipes and stuff, but a lot of the time I would just have a couple of things in the fridge and I think, I wonder what I can do with this. And then, I just started experimenting. So I just kind of went from there. And that's kind of how I learned to cook. If it was bad, don't make that again. Or if it was bad and I think I can do something different, improve upon it.
I think that's
So,
good. That's kind of how life is, you know? You seek out to do something, and then if it works out, you do it good, better.
yeah, like my mum, if we were going to have fish or something, she would always just buy like a pre-battered fish and then we would just have some, you know, oven chips or something with it. And I was like, well, I like fish, but I don't mind it battered, but I'm more experimentative than my mother. So I would buy fish, I'd wrap it in foil, I would season it, add butter, and cook it all, and just bake it in the foil. And I just experimented, when I moved out at roughly 16, just started experimenting with food, found what I liked, what I didn't like, and just went from there.
What's your favorite kind of food type to make? Like a soup, a pie, a pastry? What's your favorite to make?
Um, Well, see, I don't often enjoy the actual making of the food. I like eating it though.
Yeah.
So like I find the making of the food semi-stressful, so I can't really say there's anything that I enjoy cooking, but there's a lot of food that, that I enjoy the end of it. So, I really like when I make a stew. My stews are usually pretty good. And I would say they're one of the easier things to make because you fry the meat on a high heat and then you add stock and you cook some vegetables and you just let it sit there for a couple of hours. So it's pretty non hands on and the end result is pretty good. Whereas pasta's pretty good as well because pasta is always yummy and then it's not that hard to make. So I don't know. I don't enjoy making rice too much. Rice is like a balance between it's either going to be really good or kind of awful.
But do you have a rice cooker?
I don't.
That'll make it like a million times easier because I know what you mean. Rice is like very difficult to make the correct way, and like a rice cooker is pretty much the only way you can do it. Like unless you got some kind of secret skill making rice.
I just buy a bag of rice. I boil it in lots of water for about 23 minutes, salt it, and then once all that water is more or less boiled down, I just add it to a frying pan with whatever I'm putting in it, which is like usually vegetables. Add quite a bit of salted butter to give it like a buttery taste. And then like I either whip in some eggs to basically make egg fried rice, or I omit the eggs. And sometimes it works, sometimes it's like blah.
Yeah, it's all about trial and error, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything I've ever cooked in my life, it's like either that was fucking awful, never cook that again, or you know that could be better. Like I used to make a lot of like potato pies, and they were fine, but I found that I could make it better by substituting the potato for pasta. Or if I am going to use potato, to not just roast the potatoes in an oven dish, to mash them and mix them with onion tends to work out better.
That's good.
Ben's been learning to cook slowly but surely. He's a very good cutter.
I chop the onion.
You chop onion good. How
I
how has
I
your
don't.
learning experience been, Ben?
I mean, uh, I could pretty much do what she does. I do the watch and then I do the chop the onions and I put the thing in the
Well,
thing.
but he
And
That's a very
says that
bold statement.
he's seen me cook sausages before, and then one time last year he defiled my sausage. He said, "Give me that," and pulled the skin off my sausage, and I'm like, "What are you doing?
that was the
You
first
just
time I had that, so
you
you can't
you,
even
you butchered my
you can't
sausage."
even say that I already knew it.
And once he made me a fry up, the egg was all snotty because it was raw. He was like, "Oh, I made breakfast. The bacon raw, the sausage kind of raw." Everything was just kind of not cooked. Like it was a good effort, and I ate it to be polite, but would never ask him to make me a
That was
breakfast.
last year. You can't even go off that. You didn't even let me make anything this time.
I, that was bad enough. I'm surprised I didn't have like salmonella or something.
But he's learning. He's just a little boy. I let him learn.
He is learning. His mum said that like she never allowed him or Sam in the kitchen. Like I don't know why. Probably because mess. But yeah, so
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure the oven is occupied with a whole bunch of stuff on it, isn't it?
oh
Yep.
yeah, it is. It's used as like a storage compartment for like letters and stuff, or just random boxes of food. It's not. It doesn't actually ever seem to be used.
And there you go. Can't learn much from a microwave, you know.
Yeah,
Besides an egg.
Egg. I
I
can't
I
fucking fry an egg. I can't do it. I just can't.
I I freaked out on Ben because he bought this like pasta thing, and he put it in the microwave. I was like, "What in the flying fuck
Oh,
are
it
you
was like,
doing?"
so you know what those, like, the cup noodles they have?
Oh yeah.
they have like cup pasta. So it was like cup pasta and like whatever it was. And I put the water in the cup and I put it in the microwave.
No, that's not what you freaking do. I was having a heart attack. I had visions of the plastic melting into the microwave or something. You just boil the kettle, fill it to the line, cover the lid over it for a couple of minutes, give it a little stir, done.
Yeah, but I'm not used to kettles, so my brain automatically went to microwave.
I just don't.
See,
don't
I
think they're meant to go in the
understand.
microwave.
I understand both sides of this because I've done it both ways. I've done it putting it in the microwave and then the water gets all over the fucking plate and you have to fucking wipe it up with the cloth or whatever. And then, I've also done the whole kettle, make it where a nice teapot goes,
I don't think the packaging here is meant to go in the microwave because that's just not what we do here.
The packaging looks the same as.
Was the cup styrofoam?
Yeah, no, it was like the styrofoamy plastic kind of stuff that.
Oh, then yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's supposed to go in there, but it can go in there.
I freaked out. I was like, holy shit. The plastic's gonna leak into the food or something. It's gonna melt in the microwave.
It probably would have been healthier than what I had somewhere in America anyway.
Well, yeah, but still.
I kind of want to have another one though. It was nice.
Yeah, until you threw it up in the sink.
Threw it up in the sink?
He might have been a bit inebriated when he did it, and then he did like The Exorcist in the sink shortly after.
That's good. Was nice.
All over the glasses and the plates that were in there ready to be washed.
They were gonna get washed anyway.
Who cleaned it?
I wasn't fucking touching it.
I clean all the plates.
Yeah, well,
I do all the washing.
I don't understand, right? He makes more work for himself. There's a dishwasher here, and he still insists on washing them in the sink. I'm like, why? There's a literal appliance that will do that for you. Because to me,
it takes less time, and I mean, sure, it takes a little more effort, but it takes less time, and it's just easier to just do 1, 2, 3, and then have to do a dishwasher.
I entirely disagree.
And sometimes the dishwasher doesn't if the food is baked onto the plate, you still have to scrub it off. So I'd rather just go through the hot water in the sink and scrub it all off. Besides,
I don't get it.
To me, it's maybe a little bit more work, but at the end of the day, it's less work because when you take it out the dishwasher, you'll still have to scrub it if it's really caked on food. So I don't mind doing the sink stuff. I kind of like it. I like cleaning.
And then he complains that I don't do the washing up. I'm like, my version of washing up is putting it in the dishwasher and saying bye-bye to it. Why do I want to make more work for myself when there's a literal machine that will do it for me?
I will say that if it's a few dishes, then I can understand Ben's point, especially if it's been sitting out and, no one put water in it, so that way you can scrub it off. You gotta really put some elbow grease into it, but if there's a bunch of dishes, then yeah, I don't see why you would scrub them, not just put them in the dishwasher.
No, it's just us two, so it's not like I'm cleaning for 10 people.
Yeah, but do you have 4 or 5 plates? Do you have a pot? Do you have a bunch of utensils and stuff like that?
Yeah, I tend to, when I cook, I tend to overuse things. I'll forget, if I'm cooking raw meat and raw vegetables, I don't like to, what do you want?
Charger.
Oh, sorry. Use your words. I don't like to cross-contaminate. So sometimes I'll be cooking with a fork and I'm like, fuck, I can't remember where I put this fork. So I'll just immediately put it in the sink and grab another one. So
are you saying you don't like to, mix and match some good cross-contamination and then eat it? What? How dare you?
Well, Ben didn't know about it. The other day I left the house momentarily to go get some foil or something from the shop. I can't remember what it was. And I came back and the fucking utensil I was using either for the raw meat or the raw veg had swapped around. And I'm like, Ben, please don't tell me you just used the same utensil that I was mixing. I can't remember. Well, just for argument's sake, I would say I was poaching around with the raw meat while it was starting to cook. And then you stuck it in the raw vegetables. He was like, yeah, why? I was like, oh my god, if we get sick, I'm gonna murder you.
No, I know what that is. I watch enough Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, but you said that you.
I didn't really care. That's why.
What the fuck? That's not good, Ben.
This is why I can't trust him in the kitchen.
Some germs is nice for the immune
I leave
system.
him for 2 seconds to just stir something for me while I literally leave for 2 minutes. I come back and it's like so fucking backwards and wrong. And I'm like, no, bad.
Well, you gotta teach him. Be like, this is how you do it, little boy. You don't you gotta treat Ben like he's a little middle school
baby.
boy.
I do a bit. Last year I had to teach him how to use the washing machine.
Yeah, it's step by step. Yeah.
Do you have any non-cooking topics you want to discuss?
I was gonna say, this is literally just a fucking repeat, isn't it? It's just food talk again. The only relatable thing. You guys both have time splitters. I don't got that connection with you guys.
We have to deep dive into the mind of Harley.
Okay.
No, only because you deflect. You're like, we'll discuss something with you, you know.
Yeah,
and
Ben
then make
does
some
seem like
random-
a deflector.
Yeah, so now we do you.
Yeah, because you don't want to talk about yourself.
Nope.
You're just like, yeah, no, I'd rather not.
Can we talk
And
about
make-
the incident?
No.
Come on.
yeah,
No.
That was
yeah,
good.
he got annoyed at me for telling people, and I was like, well, that's my
Well,
manner.
then, no, hold on. That's a deep dive on me, not you.
Yeah, that's
but,
why
like,
we're doing it. It's something that's recent, and we can talk about it and be like, "Oh, Ben, why did you think that was an appropriate thing to do at all?"
Well, according to him, he didn't say it, and I'm like, well, they definitely think you said it. That's not, unreasonable a thing for me, for you to normally say. So, but every time I say it, he's like, no, I didn't say it. And I'm like, you probably did.
Now let me
No, I
ask
didn't
the
say it.
big question. The next day, did Ben act like nothing happened? Like nothing was
Yeah,
wrong?
even though he was his leg was practically broken, his shoulders crumbling off, and he has a black eye. Well, it's not a bad black eye. It's just
Always exaggerating everything.
well, I'll take a picture
I know
of
you
your
get that
shoulder.
from your mom. You always
Well,
exaggerate
okay, your
stuff.
leg wasn't broken, but you were limping quite severely.
He's all
I know
bruised
it's
up.
fun being. It's kind of fun.
Your
being crippled. You should
shoulder
try.
looks disgusting, and there's some marks on your other, and there is a small bruise under your eye. I'm not really exaggerating. I'm saying exactly what it is.
You sounded like I got into a car accident foot that time.
I mean,
A self-induced car accident, I've been told.
and my manner, I don't know whether it's because I'm female, but I cope with any kind of trauma or whatever by talking about it. If I talk about it, I get it off my chest, and I'm like, okay. I mean,
You mean throwing me under the bus?
I'm not. He thinks I'm throwing him under the bus. I'm not. I'm discussing a horrible thing that, although you mostly got more hurt than me, it happened to us both.
It was alright.
It was not all right. I'm bruised. And I still have a bad finger.
A bad finger.
Yeah, and I'm dealing with the fallout of you because you're like a fucking.
I can walk.
You're an invalid. I have to keep getting your underwear for you, and when you first did it, I had to help you get undressed and dressed, and
I'm walking fine.
yeah.
What the fuck?
I can do a dance.
Benjamin, sit your ass down before you cause more damage. And I was getting ice, putting ice on your knee and lifting your leg up and helping you up the goddamn stairs and down the stairs.
Just imagine I had to work the next day. My dad would not give a shit. I would still have to work. I'll be walking around like I'm 80 years old. Need a cane.
Ben, would you see you have a self-destructive kind of behavior? Oh, hey, right when
yeah,
I want to
see?
get into a deep dive, call for me. Okay, well,
What a classic
you
moment.
guys do your thing. Keep them entertained, I guess.
You think I'm throwing you under the bus, but like I'm not. Like Benjamin was really naughty. He really annoyed me, and then he got like beat up and stuff, and I'm so mad. Like I'm not like I'm not. Even though I do think you maybe brought it on yourself, I'm not blaming you or anything. I'm just like, when people go, "How was your night?" I don't know how to gloss over that situation. I
You
don't.
just say, "Yeah, it was alright."
No, it wasn't all right. It was pretty
No, you
good.
say, "Yeah, it was a night. It was
Yeah,
a
and
eight
they'll be
night."
like, "Oh yeah. So what happened? What did you get up to?" And I'm like, "It's not like I can lie or anything."
You just mention the parts that are good.
No, because
You say, "Yeah, we went out. Yeah, it was fun.
no, it
for the
was
most part."
no, it was fun to begin with, and it ended in pure disaster.
That wasn't that bad.
It was horrible.
It was alright.
I cried myself to sleep.
No, you didn't.
I did.
I was there.
Yeah, and I was crying.
That's a you problem.
It's not nice.
And yet I come back from Spaghetti Town.
Hello, spaghetti man.
My mom is bringing
Uh,
me stuff from the store, so I'll probably get interrupted at least 1 to 2 more times. Just a heads up.
What are you getting from the store?
No. We're not talking about food again. We're talking about you, Benjamin.
Who
Yeah,
said it was food? It
I
could
was
have been any
gonna
other
I was
item.
gonna ask, Ben, do you feel like you have a self-destructive habit? Do you think you have a self-destructive personality type?
Depends what you mean.
Do you get yourself in precarious situations? Do you
I would
not
say
support
yes.
yourself?
I would say yes because out of all the time
I'm
I've
asking
spent
Ben.
with Ben, right? But I just have a slight point to make. Something dramatic has happened every single time.
This wasn't as bad as the other two.
When the first 3 months I spent with you was the most traumatizing and distressing 3 months of my life.
Well, you're still with me, so that
Well,
means
I'm
something.
still with you, yeah, because part of me is like, Jesus, if I don't hate him after this, nothing will make me hate him.
Yeah, so we're good.
No, but like, I was really feeling good about this month. Nothing terrible had happened, and then, boop, there it is.
Well,
But anyway,
I
sorry.
jinxed it. It was my fault.
But anyway, you were asking Ben. I just had a point to make. Do you think you have a destructive personality, Ben?
Sometimes.
Why do
Not
you feel
occasionally.
like you do that?
I make stupid choices when I drink.
Do you think it's because the people around you haven't showed you much care, so therefore you don't know how to care for yourself in that regard?
Think so. I
Fair
mean,
enough.
when I'm normal, I pretty much care for myself as much as I possibly can.
Yeah,
I try to look after everything I possibly can, and then when it comes time to unwind, I guess I get a bit careless and I do things that I probably shouldn't.
and you get nasty.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see that point that you make. There
You,
may or may not have been points
you,
where I have been nasty.
go ahead, sorry.
Sorry.
Go
No,
ahead.
no, go.
Go ahead.
No, I was done.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you feel like there's any escape from this kind of habit? Do you think one day you may feel like you want to get help for it, or do you even view it as a thing that needs to get helped for?
At this point, it's definitely not something that I would need to get help for. It's something
I
that I could.
disagree,
It's
but
something
carry
that
on.
I could help myself with
Yeah, but you don't.
because I don't want to.
But you should want to because it
Yeah, but
affects the people around you.
yeah, I
It's
think
not.
I'm just selfish in that point.
Yeah, it's not just the damage that you do to yourself, like physically, mentally. It's the damage that you do to the people around you that care for you. Like your mum's fed up with it, your dad's fed up with it, Sam's probably fed up with it. I certainly don't like you when you take drink too far because I feel like I have to turn into a
But see, now this
babysitter.
sounds like an intervention.
Well, because there have been many points in our relationship where I've literally tried to shake you and be like, you can't keep doing this because I can't deal with it.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with that.
Do you think that it's okay to do it because you only see it through your eyes, and as long as you can deal with it, it's kind of okay?
Well, no, it's you have to look at it through everyone else's eyes.
Well, no, I'm asking through
Look,
your eyes, since I believe you're very much, as long as you're not, like you might have some things that happen to you, but you can deal with it. So therefore, you don't feel like you ever need to get help with that issue. No.
well, I don't know. At this current state, I think I'm managing pretty fine.
I think
I think I have my moments where I kind of take it too far,
Right.
and then that's when like things happen that are wrong. But typically, I'm pretty sound.
yeah, I just don't think you know how to take things in moderation, and that's why I'm so hard on you. Like,
Can I blame my family?
I mean, I don't know, but you don't have a moderation button and you don't have an off button. Like, I don't know anyone that drinks the way that you do. I know people that like to drink, they go out, they get really drunk, they get hungover, and then they stop, or they have a moment of cessation in the morning, in the afternoon, and maybe they go out again and repeat, and then they don't do anything until the next weekend. Whereas the way that you drink is so, like, you'll drink till you pass out, you'll wake up, you'll carry on, so you pass out, and you'll do that until you have to stop because you have to go to work or something. That's, to me, that's just completely not normal.
No, I don't like it either.
I mean, I'll have a drink. I like to drink, but just, I know when to stop, and I don't wake up and think, oh, alcohol. That's the last thing on my mind after a night of alcohol, but you'll go find alcohol and you'll just start repeating the process, and I don't understand it at all.
I think I could probably understand it a little bit, but I'd also like to hear, what Ben has to say about it. But I would probably say it's a numbing agent more than likely, right?
Yeah,
Kind of.
it's more of like when I'm in, like when that does happen, it's like, ooh, especially if it's like something that I have on hand. It's like there's more, and I wake up and I'm like, oh, I know I'm gonna feel like complete shit later, but that's a problem for later me. And then it is a problem for later me, and then I'm like dying for like a whole day, and then I feel better, and then like after a few days, I'm like, oh, I'm back to normal, everything's all right. I can go for a drink, and then it's like, oh, and then it's sort of like a cycle, which I don't really like it, even though I do it. So it's sort of like kind of like a cycle that kind of goes around and around, which probably isn't the best thing to do, but it kind of happens.
Do you feel like there's no escape from this cycle, or do you think it's? Do you think there will ever be a point
Oh,
where you'll be
Oh, there's a
like,
phone call for you
okay,
again.
one last thing before I do. Okay, so do you ever feel like there will be a point where something tragic or something really eventful will happen where you will be forced out of it? Okay, BRB.
Um, I hope it doesn't come to that. I don't want it to come
I,
to that.
I would say a lot of those events that probably should have shook you and stopped you didn't.
I'm a fighter.
Huh?
I don't know. I guess not.
Because, like, the events that we've been through, which 80% of them are probably alcohol related, at least on your side of things, and those events haven't stopped that cycle.
Yeah, not really.
See, for me, if on the other side of that was happening, that would be like a wake up call, and I'd be like, all right, things need to change. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you go through like a weekend, or at least you tell me. You're
I
a little
do.
bit unreliable.
I
But
do.
sometimes you go for like a weekend where you don't drink, or if you do drink, you don't go crazy. Um, but then like the next week, it's oh, so I was good last week, so now I can be bad this week, and it's like one weekend of being good doesn't negate all the weekends of bad. Being good for one weekend doesn't suddenly make it okay to repeat bad behaviors.
I think sometimes I just, I get excited and I kind of don't really realize, what I'm doing exactly. So I kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's stupid, but I'm like, like my brain is like ADHD, so I'm like always like kind of doing 10 different things at once and just kind of hyper focused on other things, and I'm not really paying attention. So I kind of lose myself in the moment where I'm like, I don't realize that I'm kind of going overboard with it when I probably shouldn't.
But I get worried that I'm being really controlling, but I kind of think that I need to be that for you because you don't have it in yourself. You don't have that. Okay, I've had 4 to 6 beers now. Maybe I should stop. You're like, I've had 4 to 6 beers now. Maybe I should have 4 to 6 more. And I'm like, but why? What are you doing that requires more alcohol? Like, I get it to unwind, but then to a point, you're just doing it to get drunk and pass out or whatever. And I don't see the fun in that. I don't get it.
It's hard to really get. It's not something that you consciously think about when you're doing it.
No, but like,
It's just like
even
more.
even like when we're not together, it affects me because like I'll look forward to the weekend because you have more time or whatever to like do something nice with me. Like,
Yeah.
as nice as it can be having a relationship, between two continents, and you'll be okay for a bit, and then I can tell you're getting a little bit drunk, and then you'll just disappear for like 4 hours, and then you'll wake up like nothing's happened. It's like we were in the middle of doing something, you just disappeared for like any amount of time from like
Tell that when Justy gets back because he has a story about that too.
you'll just disappear for hours, and then you'll just wake up and just expect everything to carry on. It's like, well, no, I had to do something else now because that time, those 4 hours that you were asleep were those 4 hours that I had to do that nice thing with you. But you, you just went to sleep without even saying you were going
I
to
think a
sleep.
lot of it is because, like when I work, I only sleep about 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
So throughout the whole week, Monday through Friday.
Well, I understand catching up on your sleep, but you're not really doing that when you're drinking yourself
Yeah,
to
but
sleep.
I just when I do drink, then that means I pretty much like I get tired very quickly. Because my body's just like, all right, it's the weekend, and you're kind of like, you know,
But
it wants to catch up on sleep because I guess I fall asleep easier when I do drink, so that's why I kind of pass out a lot because I guess I don't really get that much sleep through the weekday, and through the weekday I'm able to still wake up and go to work. But when I have a drink, I guess it kind of makes you a bit more tired. So it makes me fall asleep during the weekend, and that's why I kind of periodically fall asleep.
your quality of sleep through drinking, though, won't be as good as it is
It's
without.
not because,
You fall asleep quicker and easier, but
because I know during the week I have a hard time falling asleep. About Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday I have a nice sleep, and then Friday it kind of yeah. So I don't really get the best part. Like when I was here, being here, I have really nice sleep. Nice. I've been definitely sleeping much better.
I'm
Most.
I'm glad. But like, from my perspective, it's so frustrating because like, okay, I've set aside time now because I don't get a lot of time to spend on the PC, especially with the time
Well, at least you don't have
difference.
like. I mean, I know it sounds kind of mean, but you don't have like the little baby cats to look after now.
No, I know, but I still only get a finite amount of time because there's only so much time I can use electric.
Yeah.
There's only so much time I can be awake for or on the PC because my mum gets frustrated, especially with the time difference. Like when it's 3 a.m. right now, like it is right now for me, it's only what, like 10 o'clock for you?
Yep.
So you can afford to go to sleep for a couple of hours, wake up and carry on. But if it's 3 a.m. for me, I don't, that's it. That's my cutoff point. I don't have any more time. So if we find a time that works for you and works for me, and we start doing something, we're having fun, and then half an hour in or an hour in, you just fall asleep for hours. I'm like, well, great. I just wasted my time.
Yeah, I
I,
understand that.
and like, it's frustrating for me, and I just don't like who you are when you're really inebriated, because you really are quite selfish, and there's no talking to you because you just think everything's a joke.
Yeah.
And like, I don't mean to bring this up again, but this is a moment that always sticks in my mind. When my uncle died, you got drunk, and I was trying to talk to you about my feelings, and your mum came in the room and you two started talking about clothes. And I'm like, hello? My favorite person in the world has just died. And you're just really kind of
Well,
out of it.
it's also like I can't just my mom.
Yeah,
Like
I
I tell her
know.
like, oh, I'm busy right now. She'll start bitching about something.
No, but at the same time, it was so insensitive to me, and you were just drinking, and I'm pouring my heart out, I'm crying because I need someone and I needed you, and your priority was just not me.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about that.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking that it's just like that. I don't like who you are when you drink like that, because you are just very me, 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 and you'll turn it on me. I'm like, what? Can't I have fun? I'm like, yeah, of course you can have fun, but like, are you really having fun, or you just drunk? I think there's a difference between having fun and just being drunk.
They kind of work hand in hand depending on the situation.
I don't know. It's just like, are you just? I don't consider you a selfish person. I think you care about people and you have a lot of love to give. But as soon as you like drink yourself to whatever, all of that just goes away, and you just become me, 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 and you become very nasty. Like, what? I can't have fun. What? I can't have fun. I work all week. Blah blah blah. And it's my weekend. It's my time off. I can't have fun. It's like, saying you can't have fun, but like, what you do affects other people.
Yeah. No, I understand that completely.
And I really struggle with our relationship when, it comes to the weekend and I look forward to it. And then, like, you're just like, non existent in your own wake up, drink, fall asleep, wake up, drink, fall asleep. And I'm just like, why did I even bother?
Well, that hasn't happened recently. I've been definitely better.
Well, no, but I also haven't been around much because I was busy with the kittens. And like I have said, like, you have been infinitely better with your drinking this time compared to last time. Because last time I was on the verge of hating you. It was just so bad and out of control, and I was just losing it with you. This time, you've been fine. Yes, okay, you're having a few now, but it's just a few. And I don't care when you drink in moderation. I mean, I prefer you wouldn't, but as long as I feel comfortable knowing, okay, it's just going to be 4 cans. It's not going to be 4 cans and then more. And then,
Oh,
yeah.
well, I still have 2 more now. But I'm not worried about that.
And
But yes, I understand.
but we did have that weekend where you fell into habits, and it was really difficult
I
for
don't.
me.
Oh, hello, Bubber. How was your adventure?
Isn't it great? Isn't it fantastic? If it ain't an hour and a half talking about food, it's uh freaking a good portion of me having to go chat with mom and get my free items.
Okay. Me and Ben were having good discussions.
Oh, it's Retrovin.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the podcast. Hello.
Oh my god, it's the podcast.
What were you talking about?
Essentially, when you said, do you ever think there'll be a moment or whatever that'll wake you up out of drinking? I said, from my perspective, there have already been several occasions where I think that should have woke you up out of the cycle. and it doesn't. And I said, you have periods where like you'll be good for a weekend, you'll either won't drink, or if you drink in moderation. But then the next week will come around and you'll be like, well, Ben, sorry, will be like, oh, well, I was good last week, so now I can be bad. And I was like, well, one good week doesn't negate all the bad behavior. And I said, last time he was here, it was so difficult because I just couldn't control him. And I said, although I don't like to be controlling, I said, I don't think he has that facility in himself to know when to stop. So I have to try and instill that. And I said, last time, I was on the verge of hating him because it was just out of control and there was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
Comparatively, I said, this time around, he's actually been really good. There was one weekend where, it was a little bit bothersome where he fell into that cycle a little bit. But we worked it out and he's been good since then. And it's been so much nicer and easier this time around than it was last time. But basically, I was saying, I was like, the things that you do affect the people around you. And I said, I think you're a very loving and caring person. But as soon as you drink to the point of excess, lose all those things I love about you and become someone I really don't like. I'm very selfish and just and nasty, because if I ever say like, oh hey, do you think you've had enough drink now? He'll be like, well, I can't have fun. What? Well, you don't want me to have fun? And I'll be like, are you gonna drink another drink? What, you want me to? I will. And it's just like, that's not what I meant. Like very argumentative and just not very nice and very, because I'm referenced when my uncle died. I rang Ben and Ben was just drinking, and like his mum came in and I was pouring my heart out about my feelings and everything. Ben was just talking to his mum about clothes and he was opening more cans and stuff. And I was like, the things that you do, although in your mind is fun, they have an effect on people around you. And I was saying, like, on the weekends where we go to make plans together, and then half an hour into that plan, he falls asleep for like 4 or 5 hours. And I'm like, I don't have finite amount of time, especially when I'm balancing a relationship over two continents where there's a time difference. I only have a finite amount of time. So, if I go to make a plan with you, there's nothing more frustrating where 20 minutes, an hour into that plan, you've drunk yourself into a coma and you're gone for 4 or 5 hours, and then you wake up and act like nothing's happened and you were there the whole time. So that's essentially the conversation we were having.
Thank you for catching me up. But I kind of wonder, for you, Ben, is it more of like, wanting to escape a feeling that you have, or is it simply just like you kind of just don't want to be able to, I don't know, what is it? Is it like a self-hate thing, you know?
Talking to me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
you,
asked
Ben.
if it's
Sorry, I went to the fridge to put something away.
he
Oh.
asked if it's escapism or like
Oh.
a self hatred.
Oh, no, nothing like that.
So you don't drink to escape a feeling of some sort or anything like that? Is it more of a habit or more of like a feeling that makes you get to that point?
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, because I know
I
that
feel like
oh, go ahead.
the origins of it was I used to start drinking because I was really terrible at being social.
Yeah.
So, and then after a while, it sort of carried over where I was at a point where I was like, oh yeah, like I kind of have to drink to be social, like to be able to like kind of be able to talk about my feelings or at least talk about stuff. Because I
Right.
was really bad at just like I used to be like I am still very quiet. So it kind of started as that, and then it kind of became a point where it was like it's kind of just fun. So I kind of just did it just for fun.
Right.
But I think there's still like that kind of point in the back where it's like I'm definitely more social if I do it. Like if I don't, I'm very reserved and quiet.
Yeah.
It kind of helps me be able to talk about my feelings a bit more, or just in general talk about things that usually I wouldn't if I was sober.
Do you
I
think
don't get that from you though.
do you think you went from
Well,
a point of like a few drinks were able to get you to that social point, and now you need a lot more? No? Or is it
not
about the same?
really, because it's about the same, but it's sort of like, oh well, might as well continue kind of deal. Like
Right.
you give me a few drinks, and I'm like, yeah, I'll probably open up a bit more. But then it was like, I don't know. It's just you kind of it's kind of like the train that never stops.
You're already there, so you may as well go all the way, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's sort of the deal.
I gotcha.
Which is obviously I know I'm kind of self aware. I'm woke.
Woke.
Yeah, but that yeah, that's probably not the best way of going about it. But sometimes, yeah, I could understand that it's a bit too much sometimes.
Well, I know a lot of people around you have told you that, your drinking is very bad and it affects them and stuff like that, but how do you feel about it? Like, you're told that it's bad, but do you feel like it's bad, or do you just feel like, you're just trying to have some fun?
Oh no, I definitely know like it could be bad at sometimes, and I do feel kind of like pretty bad at a lot of points in time, like you know, logging off or just going to sleep when we're playing a game together. That kind of sucks. Or obviously the situations that Charlie said.
Yeah.
I understand that. Like definitely, those are kind of things that I regret and kind of feel bad about. I'm like yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. But in that moment, you kind of really don't realize that you're kind of doing those things. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's fun, but at the same time, there's a chance that you could cause some straight up damage.
Right. I think I talked about it before, but is it are you able to have fun without drinking, or is it just like, you know,
Yeah, you
it's
could
a
say that.
quicker way to get to that point?
It really depends on the situation, but it depends. It really depends on a lot of things. But I could definitely have fun without it. But you know, if someone's like, "Yeah, you want to have a drink?" I'll say yes every time.
Right.
To me, it's I don't know. It kind of loosens me up and makes me more relaxed. Sometimes I get, I guess, anxious or tense in situations, so it kind of makes me feel less stressed out.
Right. Kind of eases your
So
nerves.
yeah, because I'm just generally like I like just in a lot of situations I'm just like kind of like always anxious, even if it's for nothing. Like I'm very anxious. So like when I
I
do have,
think that could also be the high nicotine content of your vape though, because that can definitely make people anxious.
that's
Well,
very possible.
I guess the question to be asked is if you had that kind of anxiety before you started vaping or smoking.
It's hard to tell because it's been so long, so I can't really remember.
Right.
But it's a possibility that if I don't vape, you know, maybe I'll feel less anxious. But that's actually not a bad idea. But I now that's the question: can I stop vaping? I don't know.
I think you could lower your nicotine content. You can still vape, but much lesser quantities because the nicotine content in your vapes is insane, absolutely insane. And I know that it's a common reported problem that sometimes vaping can create feelings of anxiety. Like sometimes if I try some of your vape, I'm suddenly quite anxious because I've overstimulated myself.
That'll be
In the
two things I
same
have to
way
stop
that
doing.
in the very odd occasion I've taken an illicit drug, it can put me in a very anxious state that I've completely overstimulated myself.
I think, I do want to bring up something you just said, Ben, that you said that'll be two things that you have to stop doing. But, I think a lot of people, because kind of taking this off track just for a moment, but I have been trying to diet, and I know my mom is trying to diet as well. But I think the number one thing that a lot of people who have to stop doing things is that you don't really have to stop. Like I'm not gonna stop eating ice cream. I like ice cream. I just need to stop doing it as much. You know what I mean? So I don't think you really have to stop doing the things that you enjoy, which, is drinking and vaping. I think, just the whole moderation thing. You have to just lower the amount that you do it.
That's a tough one, especially like with vaping, like or smoking something. Like I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. It's an addiction. I could definitely say I have addiction to vaping. That's 100%. So it's like it's definitely a tough thing to crack.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was the action of doing something that made vaping addictive.
Yeah, like I don't feel like anything when I vape. I don't really get a feeling anymore for the
Yeah.
most part. It's sort of like just that action of like smoking something. For me, it's like it kind of stimulates me. It gives me something to do with my hands.
But yeah, so that's why I'm like, why don't you just lower the nicotine concentration? I mean, it's still
Because
not.
it's sort of like a brain thing. It's like in the brain. It's like, oh, it's
Kind of like a
weaker, so it's
tick.
not. Yeah, no, it's sort of like it's all in the head. It's like, oh, so it's weaker, so it's not doing anything, even though you don't realize it's not doing anything anyway. In your head, you're telling yourself that it's like, oh, it's weaker, so it's not as good.
Well, I managed to go down from. I know you think my vapes are babies, but like, because these disposable ones are way too high nicotine for me, and they're 2%, and yours is 5% by comparison. And I went down to something that was more 1% ish. And I
Yeah.
honestly didn't notice a difference. And it was just the action of vaping for me that I'm addicted to. So I don't like smoking these higher nicotine ones. I'd buy a lower one, but obviously I can't get oil right now. So I thought, going from 20 milligrams down to 10 milligrams, I would feel a difference. And I absolutely didn't. And I feel marginally healthier because I know I'm not overloading my body with as strong a content of nicotine.
Right.
I don't know, maybe it's something. I know it might be a bit more difficult for you to get a lower strength vape, but it could, or you could do what I do and just get the oil, so you're in control of what flavor you get and what nicotine percent you're putting in.
I just go based off what the guy has at the shop. So
I think that could definitely help anxiety. I don't think it will eliminate anxiety, but I think it could be something that increases your anxiety. So, like, you could always be at a baseline of 2 naturally.
aren't cigarettes or aren't like isn't nicotine supposed to calm you down?
Yeah, but that's sort of a facade. The reason it calms you down is because you're giving your body the craving of nicotine. So a lot of the time, the stress can be exacerbated by nicotine withdrawal. So then, when you take a fag, oh, sorry, sorry, I forget that that's an illegal word for you guys.
Not
When you take
illegal.
a drag of a vape or whatever, you're restoring your nicotine levels back to something more comfortable for your body. So it's sort of like a fallacy. It's not necessarily that smoking reduces your stress. It's that when you're smoking, you're bringing your body back to. It's like if you have a craving for chocolate. You eat chocolate, you feel better because you've satiated your craving.
And then you become obese.
Well, it's basically that you're satiating that nicotine craving more so that it's bringing you. Because actually, the studies around smoking is that smokers have elevated stress levels compared to people that don't smoke. But
Source?
but Well, I haven't done it.
I made it up, bro.
No, I didn't make it up. I have a whole book on it.
I know. I understand. I believe you. I'm just joking.
I got
doing
the
it funny.
highest grade I can in drugs and how they affect the body and the brain. So I know what I'm talking about. I just
No, I
can't
know.
remember the name of the person who did it, the studies. But it's basically that as a baseline, people who don't smoke are less stressed than people that do smoke. But smokers tend to think that it releases stress, but really it's just their body being like any drug. Oh shit, I'm running out of nicotine. I need nicotine. Oh, take a puff of a cigarette. Oh, I feel better now. It's not that, they had a bad day at work, they've had a fag, they feel better. Sorry, I did it again. a cigarette, and they feel better. It's that they're just returning their body to the nicotine craving. Anyway, sorry.
I think that's fair enough. I think, because being a fat man myself, I think that my stress relief sometimes can just be overeating, It's like, oh, gotta put food in my mouth. It doesn't even have to be like sugar or anything like that. I'll just like eat a lot more than what I'm supposed to because I'm like, oh, gotta relieve stress. This does it for me. I put food in my mouth. I think, but that's the thing as well, is that, I think some habits or some addictions or some things like that are less harmful than others. Like, look at people who
Oh
are,
yeah, because like vaping doesn't change Ben's behavior. Ben doesn't have a vape and become an asshole.
yeah,
But he has too many drinks, and I can't stand who he is.
yeah,
I literally cannot stand him. So like, there are definitely everyone's got their vices, but some I think are more damaging than others.
yeah, because
Like when you eat food, the only person that you're hurting really is yourself.
exactly,
And probably your mattress.
yeah. I think
But when Ben, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
I was gonna say that, it that's kind of how it is. Like, with it's kind of like how people who smoke cigarettes, they generally they're just hurting themselves, but that smoke can also go to other people and affect them. But
Yeah.
take a
Yeah, they could be an influence on other people.
take a chronic masturbator, they're not really hurting anyone but themselves. They're just doing that to themselves, not really
Whereas
affecting others.
Ben's drinking gets to levels where it affects the people around him.
Yeah.
And it obviously has a detrimental effect to himself, whether he's willing to admit it or not. Like, I mean, he went to kiss me goodbye one morning and he sicked on himself, and I was like, yay. And then one time I remember waking up and it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon in America. I looked over at Ben and he looked a bit inebriated, and I was like, are you drinking? He was like, no. He was like, I'm drinking water. And then I was a bit nifty and I looked on his phone and I saw at 11 a.m. he'd ordered a litre bottle of Ciroc. So I was like, where is it? He'd gone and hidden it down the sofa, and when I found it, half of it was gone. And I'm like, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you've drunk half a bottle of vodka. Why? Like, you're just sitting on the PC.
Oh, that's peak hours.
You laugh. I don't find it funny. I find that disturbing.
Well, I mean, that was years ago.
That's not the point. It's still relevant.
I also
Well-
don't agree with the, well, it was years ago. I think, if you have an issue that, because I've heard some stories about your whole, stuff, Ben, and I've also heard about the family that you come from, and kind of sounds like either you, what is it? You kind of learned from at least one person in your family. I can kind of see where you're getting it from, if that is the case. But I also know that, your situation isn't the best, so
I don't need
maybe it might be because of that or something.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So
But it's not their fault.
Well,
I mean, well,
it's not
I don't.
directly, you know. But
Yeah, you don't want. I don't. The last thing I want to do is blame someone else for my own choices.
yeah, because at the end of the day, you are the one who, you know, decides to do the action. But there can be influences on that. And like if you have a shitty day and someone like punches you in the stomach, and you know you find out that you're all out of money, it's like they're not directly the cause of an issue, but they're very big influences upon that. You know?
For me, one of the main issues that drive me crazy is the lying. Like, if you just straight up go, "Yeah, I've been drinking," I'm like, okay, I'm not happy about it, but like, we'll deal with it. We'll talk about it or whatever. But when someone's barefaced lying, like they're sitting there saying I'm drinking water and it's very clearly a vodka and lemonade, which you've done on thousands of occasions to me,
Okay, thousands is
Benjamin.
a bit
Well,
exaggerated.
okay, but
Maybe like
definitely a lot.
2.
Definitely more than two. That
Okay,
really
4.
frustrates me because, like, you're literally lying to my face, which plants like seeds in my head. It's like if you could so easily lie to my face about a simple question, "Are you drinking?" What else do you conceal?
I think
Well,
it's
like,
more of a simple thing. I think it's like, you know, I because I've seen it in a few relationships that, you know, people start off very you know, it's equal level. It's very, you know, tit for tat. I'm gonna care about you, I care about you, blah blah, all that stuff. But eventually, you know, I think maybe there's moments where he's drinking and maybe it's not to the point yet where it's, you know, super bad, but maybe you're like, "Well, Ben, why are you drinking again, huh? Why are you gonna have another drink?" And, you know, he takes that in as a negative. He's not like, "Well, if this is how the reaction is when I'm just doing this kind of drinking, then, you know, of course I'm gonna lie if I'm drinking more heavily because I'm just gonna get more negative kind of, you know, reaction to it." But then
You're
again,
actually very. You're very on point with that.
yeah, but the whole issue with that is that, you know, how are you supposed to react then? Because you can't be like, "Oh, you're drinking? Oh, that's fantastic. Great job." You can't, you know, give it a positive kind of
I
reaction.
think it'd be better if there was like instead of just being mad, it's like more of like kind of talk to me, you know, instead of just saying, "Oh, you're doing this." Oh,
yeah, but I
bit."
always get to that point though because, like, I'll ask you very calmly and you'll tell me no, and then a little bit
Yeah,
later,
because the only reason I would tell you no is because in the past I know their reaction, so immediately I want to not
I
get
know.
that reaction of you being
But
immediately
you make
pissed
the
off.
situation so I get so much more pissed off because you've lied to me.
Yeah, but I'm already my initial understanding is if I say yes, then you're gonna be pissed off. So
Yeah,
You
I
see,
won't be happy,
yeah, but
but
you're gonna at least. But all right, well,
this
not now,
is
but in the
I would
past.
say this is where the cycle is that, you know, it's we don't know where the origin started, you know. It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg, you know. We don't know which one's the correct which one came first situation.
Probably
We
an
don't know
egg.
if it's because Charlie had a negative reaction and that started the lying, or if, you know, it was the lying that made Charlie have that negative reaction, you know, that started it. But now it's just the endless circle of like, you know, well, I lie because you have a negative reaction, and I have a negative reaction because you lie, and it's just gonna keep
yeah.
going further and further down. You know,
Yeah,
it's talked about.
that's true.
Because I've noticed that in my mom's relationship, because she'll be like, well, you know, I want him to cuddle me and stuff like that, or listen to me, right? And then he tries to listen, but, you know, eventually it gets to a point where he doesn't want to anymore because it's too much, you know. So it's just another endless cycle, and I've seen that it goes very very bad. You know, it goes to like you know, a very blame game kind of. amount of negativity, I suppose.
Can we use that to flip the deep dive on back onto you?
Well, for
Yeah.
1 second, I would like to say the only reason why I get mad is because I assume the direction the drinking is going to go.
Yeah.
Okay, you're drinking. Is it going to stop? No. Are you going to keep drinking till you pass out? Probably. I'm frustrated that you've started the chain reaction already. And I know that nothing I do or say or try to help, no matter how calmly I act or don't act, I know that you're going to go down that path and we're going to argue about it.
Well,
And so,
I would
to me, nothing good comes from it.
right. My advice to that, which probably isn't the best, but if you're already going to get to a point where it's going to be a huge argument, why start it even earlier? You know what I mean? Like, at
Because
least.
usually I would rather break away from that situation and go, okay, you're drinking. I'd rather talk to you tomorrow when you're sober
Oh, right.
than because if it's gonna go down that path, I know that I'm gonna get irritated and annoyed. So I'd rather break away now before it happens and we end up in an argument. It's my way of being like, okay, you're drinking. Have you fun. I don't want to be a part of it. I'll speak to you when you're not drinking.
Oh,
But
that makes a lot more sense, because I was like, if it's gonna get to that point, you're still just gonna hang out with him. I would just wait until it finally does get to that point, and then, because he's at that point, then you have an
yeah,
actual reason to, be mad with him, because he's gotten to that point when he, you know, shouldn't have, and all that.
no, it's that I usually know that nothing I say or do is going to slow that train. So I'd rather get off before we end up in an argument.
Yeah.
Because although in that moment he might be fine, give it an hour or 2 or 3 hours, he's gonna become the person I'm not too fond of, and I'm gonna get irritated, and it's gonna end up in a row. So I'd rather break away before that argument happens.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's removing yourself from the situation before things get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's, um, definitely, I would definitely just, keep doing that. Like, there's nothing really, it's as you said, it's a nonstop train, so, may as well jump off board when it's starting to get to that point. As
Yeah.
long as there's no big argument, at that point,
Well,
because
what usually happens is the argument happens because I'll be like, "Are you drinking?" He'll say no, and I'll be like, I'll be suspicious, but I'll be like, okay. And then give it an hour or two, start acting a bit up a bit. And I'm like, more sus that he's drinking. And then I'll hear someone come in his room going, Benjamin, you're drinking. And I'm like, so you are drinking? And he's like, what? No, no. And I'm like, so why did that person just come in your room, say you're drinking? I don't know. They just want to be mad at me. And I'm like, that makes no sense.
yeah,
Why didn't you just tell me like 2 hours ago that you were drinking so we could have avoided this confrontation?
Yeah, but you realize why I say no, because like every time I would say yes, I would automatically feel like you would be mad. So I
Well,
just kind of
it's not that I'm going to be mad. It's that I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to get off this train now before I do get mad.
yeah. I think that makes, like,
I guess so.
the thing is, Ben, if you are going down that path, and I don't know if I don't know exactly how much the drinking affects you, like, consciously. Like, I don't know if at that point you can be like, well, I'm definitely gonna get to a point where I become this kind of guy, But uh, you know, I think there needs to be at least a compromise, because the thing about it, Charlie, is that, Ben is his own person. I know that you both are
Yeah.
in a relationship, but if he makes a
Yeah.
bad choice, like recently, there's nothing
Yeah.
that you can do about it. Maybe
No.
just letting him do that will be the lesson. And there's no
Little
need to get yourself into the situation as well. It's like what you said is to jump off the train before it gets to that point. Maybe that'll be his lesson. So
That City 17 train.
The compromise for me is like now, like we were a couple of hours ago, we were sitting around what we're gonna do. I don't know. I said, Ben, I need to go to the shop. Do you want me to get anything? He said, can you get me 4 cans? I was like, no. He was like, please. I was like, if I get you 4 cans, can you promise it's gonna stay 4 cans and that's it? Yes. So that's what I did. I got him 4 cans and we're fine. And we've done that a couple of times now. He's like, can I have 4 cans? And initially I'm like, no, because it's going to turn into 8 cans and 12 cans. But no, he's been good. He's had his 4 cans and he's been fine. And I can deal with that. I can deal with that. I can deal with a couple of cans here and there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the thing I say no is because I'm scared he's going to get on that train.
Do you know what I think it is?
He's not going to get off.
I don't need. I should not have liquor. Liquor is probably the thing that makes things bad.
Probably, yeah, because every time we've started having a couple of vodka drinks together, I've gone to bed and come down the next morning or wherever it is, and you're absolutely rat ass drunk. All the liquor is gone, and you've gone to the shop and got more drink, and I'm like, what on earth is going on?
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it is because I've had moments where it's just the hard liquor that I need to not drink because it's the same with my mom. I get it from my mom where she would just have a drink and then make it stronger every time.
Yeah.
And then you kind of drink it so fast that you're like, oh yeah, I don't feel so bad. But after 3 drinks, it's like Gmod death sound. Kind of like,
Because I just don't understand that. Because if I have a bottle of vodka in the house, if I have some, I know when to leave it and that's it, and I'll go to sleep. I won't wake up and find more.
it's definitely the liquor that I probably shouldn't be drinking that much, which I've definitely stopped a lot. I've used to back in a couple of years ago. Me and my dad would have we would buy a bottle of Jack Daniels, and I would have it every weekend.
yeah,
Like this is like before I met you,
maybe
and
it's.
I can't. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say that maybe it's. It would be good to set a limitation, like maybe once every 6 months you might have a liquor night or something like that. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
that I would say yeah. Like that's why I kind of switched over to strictly White Claws because
But you don't seem to stop on them though.
those taste like water.
I know what you like. You'll have White Claw, and that's why I always say, just don't buy it if it's not in the house. You can't get tempted to drink it, but you'll still go buy and you'll buy like 24 cans or whatever, and then the temptation is
12
there,
cans.
or whatever it is. And you'll just drink them until they're all gone. And I'm just like, well, why invite that temptation in the first place? Or if you are gonna have them, set a limit. I have 5, and that is it. And if I want another 5, I wait until tomorrow. Like
I can do
the,
that. No, I've been. That's why I've been getting better. I don't do that stuff as often. I don't get into that. Maybe the only reasons when I'm back when I was at home was it was the holidays over the summer, so they had kind of things. So maybe I was drinking a little bit more than I should. But other than that, I kind of
it's like, right now you're fine. You've had what, 3 beers, 4 beers, I don't know exactly. And you're fine. I don't hate you and I'm not
Yeah.
mad at you. It's when, you know, you start getting into your 6th and your 7th and you're falling over the place and you whack into me and or whatever it is you're doing. I'm like, I don't want this stress right now. I don't want it. I don't want to deal with it.
no, I understand.
Like, and it's the same when we're on a phone call together, 4 cans, whatever.
Technically, we're on a phone call
Well,
right
I
now.
know, but and then it's 5 cans, 6 cans, 7 cans, and you're like, oh, and then you fall asleep, and then you wake up and I'm like, I don't want to talk to that person.
Maybe what can happen is that when you do feel like you want to drink a lot more than what you know the typical amount, maybe you can just give Charlie a heads up and be like, well, just to let you know, I'm gonna be drinking a lot more than what I usually do because I want to get a little crazy tonight. I'm just giving you the heads up, And for you, Charlie, maybe you can take that and there again. There's no stopping it, right? So
Yeah.
maybe you can just be like, you know what? Thank you for at least telling me. So now I can,
Yeah.
remove myself from the situation, and you can do your
Well,
thing.
that's what I've tried to recommend before, but usually that doesn't happen.
Because I don't trust it. Because I don't feel like you're gonna be like, ah, great, and then you're gonna start like going off about
Yeah,
this
but
and that,
you're
and then
not necessarily though. If you give me the heads up, I'm like, oh, all right, okay. I would have liked to have hung out, but okay, I'll see you tomorrow or something. But you don't give me that opportunity. You're just like, no, I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking, and then you turn into the person I don't like, and then we end up in an argument, and it's just a horrible cycle.
well, maybe if we work together, and I definitely have to be a bit better on what I'm doing.
You should
And I'd be
communicate better with me and don't lie. Just be honest. The one thing that riles me up more than anything is me be point blank asking you if you're drinking, and 2 hours later, someone comes in your room going, Benjamin, you're drinking and whatever, and I'm like, so you are drinking.
all right. So
Ugh.
then let's do it like this. Obviously, when I'm back home, and I am drinking, and I'd be completely honest to you, you have to just not immediately get upset.
No, I'll try not
because
to.
that's what I do. It's like I get worried you'll be immediately upset with me. Benjamin, spaghetti.
But then the problem is we're both assuming. When I ask you how you drink, you're assuming I'm going to be mad. And when I ask you and you confirm you're drinking, I'm assuming that you're going to be on a train that isn't going to get off.
Yeah.
So we're both getting like, we're both having issues with each other before anything's even happened. You're assuming I'm going to be mad, so you lie.
Yes.
And then I find out you lied and I get mad. So then I fulfilled you that I'm mad you're drinking. And it's not necessarily that you're drinking. I'm mad that you lied. And I asked because I wanted to avoid this situation. And then I'm in a call with you and you're half cut and you're annoying me. And it just ends up nothing good comes from it. You're assuming I'm going to be mad. I'm assuming in 2 hours' time you're going to be a nightmare. And then we're just negatively bouncing off each other to the point where it creates an argument.
So then we do better. Maybe I drink less, or when I do drink, I tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And you don't get mad at me.
I
Like-
can't avoid not feeling frustrated. Because
But that
Well,
triggers me. Like
let
when
me
you get
ask
mad.
this. Charlie, let me ask you this. So, when you do get frustrated with him, right?
Yeah.
And you do start, to complain towards him at that moment,
Yeah.
has it done anything? Because I feel like
No.
he would be too far gone already. He'd probably
Yeah,
be already
it
slurring
doesn't
his
do
words,
anything.
and yeah. So you're at that point, you're basically just talking to like, a shell of bin. Why not just save that for the morning and be like, I I kind of wanted to spend time with you last night. I know you like to drink and all that, but it really affects me that you would choose to drink a lot more when you could have had, a good time just chatting with me and doing stuff with me. Because
See, I'd rather that. I'd
Yeah.
rather you just kind of completely not talk to me than just be mad at me, and then tell me in the morning how much of a dick I was. Because then that would affect me more than being mad at me at that moment. If I was,
I always tell you the next day though.
yeah, but you always tell me also when I do drink, and I do remember that because that's what gets me mad because you get mad at me, and I don't like getting mad at you. But like, if we're in that situation and
We're both.
you start yelling at me or complaining at me, then obviously I'm inebriated, so I start acting up because I'm mad that you're mad, so it pisses. So
Yeah,
I
and
get
you do get very nasty with me.
and I don't like doing that. But like when someone gets nasty at me when I drink, I feel it kind of like it's like a defense mode, so I start getting nasty too. Not specifically because of you; it's just a thing.
And
So I'd rather that not be a thing at all. And I'd rather you just completely cut me off for the night and then, just talk to me tomorrow when I'm sober. And even though this whole cycle shouldn't be a thing because.
Usually, if I try to cut you off, you're like, "But why?" And then I have to say because you're drinking, and then
You just literally don't respond to my message. And I'll get the idea. I have some sort of brain.
Okay.
it
I
also
don't wanna
should be
become
said
that
that,
anymore.
it shouldn't all just be on Charlie either. And just be like, well, you shouldn't engage me, even though I'm the one who's doing it. Because it's a bit unfair to be like, well, I'm the one who's having the problem, but you have to deal with it too.
I would agree to that.
Yeah.
Like, if you exercise some more moderation and control in your drinking, then every time you're drinking, I'm not going to get fearful and anxious that in 2 hours' time it's going to turn into screaming argument because you're being an absolute twat.
But it hasn't been like that for a while. I've been better.
Well, apart from that weekend when you did The Exorcist in the sink, I was pretty annoyed at you, but I had the space to leave you be.
I mean, look, I have to have one event where that happens.
Well, I did the right thing. Rather than engage you, I just said, okay, you do what you want to do. I'm going upstairs out of the way, and that's what I did. I left you to your devices. I wasn't happy about it, but I was like,
and then everything was fine.
well, kind of. We had plans. It was absolutely drunk, but it worked out relatively okay in the end.
Maybe you should both just break up. Malgers. I think that was
Alright,
good.
who we deep diving on next?
And what time?
That's it. That's time.
Bald Gate's happening.
Yeah, Bald
No,
Gate's
we have
happening.
time.
Maybe tomorrow we should do another podcast, double podcast,
Double
and we'll deep
podcast.
dive on me and my issues.
Yeah.
We
I
did a
wouldn't
deep
mind doing
dive on
that.
Ben, and now it'll be my
What's
turn.
the runtime so far?
You're hour and 22 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's kind of your runtime.
And plus it's almost the late stream. And
Bald Gate.
I don't want to make the Canadian man angry. I think we
I
did.
wasn't
Coming with the
expecting this to be a
pickle
whole
syrup
deep
and
dive on
get
me.
you.
I like how Retrovin was here the whole time. Just
I was just kind of listening.
Yeah.
It was like couples counseling. I think we actually got through some issues here. Justy, the mediator, me and Ben sometimes just talking at each other, but we reached somewhat of a resolution. It was like an hour and 22 minutes of couples counseling, minus the 22 minutes of talking about food.
So how much are you guys gonna pay me?
$0.
You ain't getting any money.
Twitch channel.
This is bullshit.
Hey, Justy, maybe next time we could talk about my father's alcoholism.
Yeah, see? Maybe Retro got to learn a little bit about, how people drink way too much, and maybe Ben got to learn about how his actions affect others, and how maybe Charlie got to learn how sometimes there's not really anything you can do but to just, try and support that person or whatever. I think we did very good today. I think it was very nice. I think number one thing to take away from this, though, is to not go back on your word. If you're going to make a promise, if you're going to be like, well, I'm going to do this, definitely don't go breaking it, because that's only going to send you further down the hole,
Yeah, Ben has made some promises where, okay, I'll do better, and next weekend it's same thing, and I'm like, so what the fuck was all that fluff you just said to me last week just for the same thing that happened?
Spaghetti.
So
Spaghetti.
it's I take promises very seriously. Like, promises are like God's word, even though I don't believe in God, but I can't think of a better analogy. So,
Don't tell Halvin that.
oh.
Yeah.
Really?
What do you mean, really?
Oh, okay.
Halvin
yeah.
is a very real serial Christian.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
born again Christian. Kind of cool.
I like how he went from like drawing demon people to becoming that.
Yeah. I think I would love to get Halvin on here and go into his mind a little bit, because I think what happened is that, because I think he had to move from his last place, and I think that did something, because I know it did something to me when I had to move from my childhood home. something in my mind broke a little bit, so I think he had his own thing. But anyway, yeah, you people are great people to have on here too, I guess.
Yeah.
But all right,
Does that mean we get an actual character image now?
I don't know what. I think you do, Ben, but I think Charlie has to be on here one more time, and then she gets her thing. I
I
think,
kind of
yeah,
cheated
so
on
we'll
this one by popping in late.
yeah, I mean, that's still fair enough. I think Retro has one more as well before he gets his
We'll
own
s-
person.
Well, I was on
we'll
two. I don't
schedule a
know.
Oh, you
Charlie
were
what the
on
deep dive
number
two?
was.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then yeah, you get your own too. So, Bin and Retro, why don't you message me what you'd like your character to be 3D modeled of, you know?
I mean, I can just tell you now. Just make it a Lammy.
Well, you could
There you
just,
go.
message me because I gotta go fucking stream and I won't remember it.
All right, so we schedule a Charlie deep dive tomorrow.
Really deep dive tomorrow where we get to discuss all your issues live.
Well, I hope you have like 5 hours free. It'll be a long time.
Good.
There you go. I gave you a slightly threatening message.
Thank you.
Make Lammy
Alright.
model.
Is there anything
Looking
else you
forward to
guys
Baldgate.
want to say before I end the
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah, Baldgate. Baldgate.
Baldgate.
And bring back
Okay.
Shadowheart.
Baldgate, Shadowheart, Ben, anything you want to say?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti! And what about you, Retro?
Booga booga.
Ooga booga. Fantastic. Okay. Thanks for tuning into the Fleshcast, the Within the Flesh. Be sure to like,